Is it your understanding that Tyler Robinson confessed to the killing?
I don't know if that's all hearsay. There's nothing substantial. Like somebody wrote something, or this is basically Lance Twiggs, his roommate and alleged lover, who said that he confessed to him. So I don't know how much I'm supposed to believe him. And it's also quite likely because he was given some kind of immunity. He's made a deal with the feds, which
Which
just
is
makes it all
weird.
the more suspicious that he was an informant all along or that he's working with them. So he doesn't until I see the defense step up, or we haven't heard anything from Tyler, but it seems like everybody's condemned him and said it's overwhelming evidence. Yet there's absolutely nothing. I mean,
Okay, hang
actually,
on.
this
Let me
may be a
ask you
good time
another.
to
Is
put
it
a pet.
your understanding that the
Yeah.
parents turned in their son?
No, but my understanding is that he turned himself in to avoid like getting like raided, to avoid the SWAT team, coming in, or, arresting him by force, possibly endangering his family in the process. So he quietly turned himself in. That's my understanding of it. So all of the rest of it is just somebody said this, but there's been nothing substantial outside of it, some testimony. So it's here. I'm calling it the hearing of hearsay and horseshit, because that's all they've shown is like a distant video, and it's impossible also with the physics of the weapon, the 30-06, the powerful hunting rifle that shot him in the neck and somehow magically didn't leave any exit wound. So they have a, so it's basically like JFK again. You have a magic bullet theory, except in this case, you didn't have a Jack Ruby kill the guy. So my theory is that if Oswald had actually had a day in court, it would be very unlikely they'd be able to present a compelling case, guilt, beyond a reasonable doubt against him. So it'd be easier just to murder him. So I think that was the one maybe thing that went wrong with from the deep state. If he was framed, if there was a conspiracy, that's what I think happened. There wasn't anybody to take him out, because otherwise we could just pin it on him and the whole story goes away. But if there's a conspiracy, it doesn't look like they have much of a case. If it wasn't so high profile, they'd probably throw it out, because you have to present beyond a reasonable doubt that he was the shooter. And we had anything but, no overwhelming evidence. But yeah, go ahead.
When you see posts like this from Cam Higbee talking about 30-06 killing deer, well, all I heard about 30-06 is they'll blow the brains out of a rhinoceros. They'll explode a bus full of nuns at 1,000,000 miles. There's no way it could have happened. I don't claim to be a ballistics expert.
Yeah.
Some ballistics people say, yeah, you shoot deer with these and look, and it doesn't explode them on impact. Is it possible that that weapon could have actually taken the shot out? Is there any universe where that could have happened, when maybe it takes out deer and it doesn't explode them, and bullets do strange things that when you dig around, that there's magic bullet theory, I guess, but they do break apart and the shrapnel does do weird shit. Like, that is very well known.
The thing is, like, hunters, they've shot thousands of deer, blah, blah, blah. And some of them do have that one story of that one time they shot a deer with the 30-06 and there wasn't an exit wound. And that is, I guess, technically physically possible. Sure. Yes. Now, keep the thing in mind is that their bone structure plus just trying to poke through the tough, thick deer, the hide of that beast, to puncture it, to go through. Yes, it could do funny things, maybe hit some hard bones, not come out. And then also hitting that tough skin again, maybe that one time it doesn't have the exit wound. But it was in the soft human tissue of the neck, which is totally different. Like, it's like the softest part of the human body, the softest, most vulnerable part of the human body, shot straight in the neck. It'd be impossible to do that without a exit wound like that. Yeah, it would have just blown his whole head off. So the physics, you can't replicate that. Nobody's been able to do that because you can't. So yeah, that's their new narrative. Oh, it's like a deer, but they're failing to account for some other parts of that equation. So you're just not going to be able to do that with a human neck.
Well, let's look at some of the security
Yeah.
tape as well.
And do you believe you
Yeah.
recognize who that person is?
Yes.
Who is that?
There are some that say this person strongly resembles this person, almost
Yeah.
exactly. Do you see that, or do you not?
Yeah, he's wearing a maroon shirt, Tyler Robinson. Yes. So he's in the Dairy Queen. That's the best picture, ironically, is him in the Dairy Queen.
Robinson.
Everything else is a blur.
And then there's also the hat, the Hurley hat.
Yeah.
On the stairwell in the Dairy Queen. They put out about 4 videos, I think, that show him on campus at, I don't know, is it 4 different times that day?
So we're also wearing shorts and a maroon shirt.
And Agent Davis, who are we seeing here?
That's Tyler Robinson.
And although we are watching it on video, what is he wearing at this time?
He's working a dark colored baseball cap with a...
Likes to wear that style of hat, but that's a different color. Okay. So
that Benny story was a total lie. He was absolutely busted, dead to rights, lied completely about watching that video.
now I heard the story that people claimed they saw it. Why do you
it's
know
community
it's a
noted.
lie?
Oh, it's community noted. They've already shown the video in court. So
there
it's the same
wasn't any
video.
more high resolution being
No,
set
There
aside.
is no. No, all he did was zoom in on it a little bit. And then he made up the rest of it like, oh, it was 4K and it was zoomed in and you could tell. No, it was total BS. He totally came. He was there as a guest of Erica Kirk. So
Was Benny also there holding up the Epstein files or the UFO files, or
he wasn't in that particular one, but Jack Posobiec was. And Jack Posobiec was the other big one that basically destroyed his career that day. Him along with Benny and Officer Brandon, whatever, Tatum. So yeah, they have these little videos of him in like a parking lot with the maroon shirt and shorts. But then now they're going to show you the other video or the other picture of a man who's also wearing a Hurley hat, but he's wearing black, and he's also a lot taller. So they actually show him in the same the same area, and you can tell that he's actually a taller guy, but it's not real clear. That's where it comes into, like, they have to jump through a lot of hoops to like, well, Tyler, yeah, or maybe he was there and he had a maroon shirt, but then he must have just changed clothes and then he fired where's the gun? I don't know. Oh, but maybe he jumped and there's a guy with the limp, so we have to assume that the gun was down his pants leg. Like, they are really making a lot of jumps, logical leaps to make this story make sense, as though Tyler Robinson is the shooter, but there really isn't anything substantial. And here's another one of these guys. I was roasting him too. Kanakoa the Great, calling him out because he was calling out independent media. So I took that a bit personal. So I went on the attack against him about unmasking him. We can pull that up too. But go ahead if you want to. Oh yeah, he's saying it's overwhelming. Yeah, go ahead. Go play him.
Yeah,
I
kind of go
my response.
So the claim that his partner Lance Twiggs received a crying confession saying he was sorry that he did it. You don't take any stock in that because he took a plea deal.
It's hearsay. It's not. It's just we're basically somebody said something, so that makes it
also
true.
claims of text messages.
Lance Twiggs. How is Lance Twiggs even? Why is he credible? So he's allegedly the furry, the roommate, and they're saying he's a lover. Maybe he is. I don't know if he is or not. Because when they showed some of the text messages, allegedly off Tyler's phone, he calls him roommate. He doesn't call him Lance or friend or lover or anything like that. It's like just roommate. So we're putting a lot of stock into this Lance Twiggs character I've never heard of, but since he's made a deal with the FBI and has some sort of, I don't know, if immunity deal, I have a lot of reason to suspect anything he says. I don't care that he said that doesn't mean anything to me. And it shouldn't mean anything. You have to prove somebody guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So a hearsay from a questionable character that he confessed means nothing. it's compelling, but until he's cross-examined, it's hearsay. He's a good writer. I used to like whatever he, I don't know. He's a mysterious figure because he uses a fake name to like protect himself. But I mean, he could be in the CIA. Who knows? I don't know what kind of credibility he has. I've noticed a lot of influencers turn on this particular subject. It's been very divisive. A lot of people are rushing to judgment as though it's already a done deal. It's overwhelming evidence. It's Tyler, lock him up, shoot him. It's over. And it's wild to watch. Like, we have to have some kind of presumption of innocence unless there actually was a confession or a clear shot or anything. But I'm just showing, here's Kaneko with a Grady. We're saying every independent media figure who has lied, misled, and deceived their audience about the evidence, talking about smearing his widow's friends, blah, blah, blah. They should be laughed out of the room as a dishonest hack with zero integrity, no different from the corporate media that lost all their trust and respect during Russiagate, COVID, and the Biden years. So he's saying there's a special kind of vile dishonesty in lying about Charlie Kirk's murder. So I took it personal that he would say this, especially since, I'm an independent journalist, reluctant. I didn't want to be. Right. I volunteer for this shit because I want to tell the truth. I care about my country and the future. So I've jumped into a journalism role. So I said, yeah, cool. So what should happen to you when it turns out that you've been promoting and endorsing fantastic Fed Slop to condemn a potentially innocent man that hasn't even had a chance to defend himself yet? So do we get to unmask you? Who are you really, Kanekoa or Kanekoa or however you pronounce that? Point is, it's an anonymous journalist. Don't know who it is. But why is he peddling one way? Why isn't he just being open-minded? And another thing I'm seeing is dishonest, and I called it out. Kyle Becker is another one. I called out pretty much everybody this week. Nobody said anything. So that's Cernovich or Viva Frey, Kyle Becker, Kanekoa the Great. I think there's probably a couple other ones. Yeah, it's weird how they falsely misrepresent as though it's like a Candace thing. Like, you either believe the official story that they want or you're into all the kooky Candace stuff. And I like what Candace does. I respect her. But she also brought up a lot of stuff that I'm not totally comfortable with, whether it's the Egyptian planes or the French Legion or the Mitch Snow in Fort Huacachuca. There's a lot of things that I'm not really that, I'm not going to go down every rabbit hole. But the bottom line is this, just to simplify it, they don't have a clear, there's no evidence to suggest that Tyler had a gun that day. Number one. But the second one is the weapon. You're not going to convince people that a 30-06 high-powered hunting rifle shot a man in the soft tissue of his neck and there wasn't an exit wound. So they have two huge problems. So you're pushing a fantastical narrative. And like I said, you're jumping through the hoops that he had to change clothes and they had to disassemble the gun and reassemble the gun and stash his clothes and then got away. And then he acts perfectly normal at the Dairy Queen. Like, there's too many logical leaps that are just not going to work. So it's been fascinating watching people take a hardline stance on this, as though you got to take one extreme or the other. We can all doubt the official story without embracing, Ian Carroll and every one of, Candace's theories. So that's my take on it.
And what would your theory be on what happened to him and by who?
If it's not Tyler Robinson,
if the prosecution case is all a lie.
I'm not saying it's all a lie. It's just very speculative. It's hearsay. Hearsay and horseshit.
Let me rephrase the question then. What is your best guess as to who did and what?
My guess is that the security team. This was an inside job. It's going to be a conspiracy like JFK. I don't know if it was a gun. I don't know if I'm not totally sold on the whole bomb theory or the microphone. It could be. Again, I'm not a ballistics expert here, but I think after Butler, I think since Thomas Crooks missed his shot, that whatever group is in charge of the assassinations decided, hey, we can't trust your MK Ultra gun guy, even though Crooks was a great shot, just for Trump to like by divine intervention or whatever to move his head at that split second prevented him from dying. So maybe the deep state or whoever the cabal, whoever wanted to orchestrate something like this to take out Charlie Kirk, didn't want to take the risk of using a gunman and having a miss. So they used something closer. And then they took apart that entire crime scene. In a few days later, they erased the crime scene and then paved over it. So 10 inches of earth that they excavated in an emergency, which is unheard of, to wipe out a crime scene and then pave it over, which would suggest they wanted to get rid of any bomb residue. So if there was an explosive charge. So I would, yes, if you got to look at the security team, and you're also going to have to look at people like Ben Shapiro, who made that weird comment about how his security team was in touch with Charlie's team during that, when they were driving to the hospital. So whether that's the Rick Cutler, the Brian Harples, the Dan Floods, and I don't know who all the Turning Point people are, but if I'm playing the detective, you looked at Tyler Robinson, you gave the prosecution every chance to make their case. Like I said, I think they wanted to kill him because they didn't have a case, and they knew they didn't have a case. And the easiest thing to do would just make it show he can't testify, just like Oswald.
But that is actually one of the best counterpoints to the conspiracy angle. Why leave Tyler Robinson alive?
I know, because he turned himself in. He wasn't supposed to be alive. They wanted to rate him. Oh, he died in the shootout or whatever, or he died on the way to there. I don't know how they would have taken him out, but since he turned himself in, they didn't have to Jack Ruby come over and take him out.
But then why wouldn't have it happened in the prison in the past 10 months? If you can Jack Ruby someone, surely you can put something in their applesauce.
Perhaps. I don't know.
I don't either. And
I'm not saying I know who did it, but I'm saying the official story is BS. That doesn't mean you have to believe in all the other BS from Candace and Carol. And I like those. I respect what they do, and I'm glad that they're doing what they do.
Well, Blake,
I respect them a hell of a lot more than I respect some of these other influencers who have absolutely peddled bullshit and condemned this poor guy without him having a chance to defend himself yet.
Well, I think that simple-minded feller who's been pinned on the J6 pipe bombs, that certainly appears to be a setup, right? I'm sure. Have you been following that case?
Yeah, that's totally another setup. Yeah, this is what they're known for. I don't know why we sit there and keep giving them benefit of the doubt. They've lied to us on so many of these occasions. We thought Trump, the administration, was going to be different. I sincerely believe Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were going to do something. And it's just, I'm shocked at how bad they've been. All of them. So the only thing that's been, Tulsi Gabbard's been great. Joe Kent has been great. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey. We're getting rid of all good people that I thought could make a difference. And now I'm losing my hope, not to be blackpilled, but and now to see all these sellout influencers come together like this to try to like run cover for Turning Point really bothers me. So that's why I've been absent from the field, because makes me sick, to be honest. I thought I had such high hopes for the Trump administration and really making a difference, and it's been a big kick in the balls.
Okay, nobody's talking about this yet, but somebody zoomed in on the roof at the UVU campus, and I cannot believe what I just saw. This is the footage we've all seen a million times, but do you see it yet? Watch what happens when you zoom in and you enhance the image. Guys, that is not a shadow. I really need to know what I'm looking at here. Does anybody living in Utah know the coordinates? Can anyone tell me what I'm looking at? Guys, after enhancing it even more, look at what I just saw. That looks exactly like Ben Shapiro buck breaking Officer Tatum with a whip. Leave your comments below. The best one will get 1 billion Gary coin.
Okay. Anyway, no, but that's ridiculous. But that's that same video that they showed in the Tyler Robinson trial. So you have some blurry figure going across the roof and laying prone and then they're saying that that's high res, him shooting, and you have no idea who that is. And so we're presuming, oh, it's so Tyler Robinson, even though we've seen the videos of him just wearing shorts and a backpack, somehow he got a gun there, assembled it, disassembled it, changed clothes, grew a few inches taller, jumped off a roof, had a limp because he had a gun in his pants leg, and then he reassembled the gun, stuck it by a bush. And there also, it was interesting, Candace pointed it out on the show earlier, that the DNA prints that were on the gun that were actually there were like 4 individuals that had DNA on his grandfather's old hunting rifle. That Tyler's DNA prints were the most degraded for the trigger and the trigger guard. That's like, it had been a long time since he touched it. So, but Lance Twiggs also had DNA on the rifle, fresher DNA. So why was Lance Twiggs messing around with Tyler's grandpa's rifle? Like, there's just so many questions about it, but I think it's clear that
Well, I mean, it's possible that Lance is the shooter and this dude's just taking the fall.
it could be part of a team. So that's one thing you could say. If there's allegedly people in this Discord, or that there's Lance Twiggs, or there's also the George Zinn character. He was the old creeper who was trying to run cover after the shots were fired and claiming that he was the assassin, and it drew all that attention, and people thought he was the killer, and they were saying that he was the decoy to allow the killer to get away. There's a lot of problems with this story, but the idea that this was like a lone gunman, who I guess was not like overtly political, that's something that mentioned in the Lance Twiggs testimony, is that he wasn't even that political. So they're trying to make it sound like, but like he was harboring all of this like hate, like he had to take out Charlie because that's the only way. I mean, it's
But
so.
didn't he turn gay and get into his roommate, and like that people saw the transformation?
That's what that's what they want to sell us. They want you to believe that.
I mean, is
want
that an
you to-
unbelievable story? He's living with a furry. I've never lived with a furry that I'm aware of. Moving in with a furry is a pretty big step down the
Right.
radicalization
Right, but he had
tunnel.
in the what they showed, and what they admitted in the evidence, was that apparently was Tyler's phone, or it was like what they got it from. But like when I put your name in the phone, it's Brian Engelman, so you know who I'm talking to. But for Tyler, he didn't have Lance Twiggs as the contact. It literally said roommate. I mean, I could show you the text, which is extremely informal. So when you're in college, you were in college, I was in college. I knew my roommate, but at first when I enrolled and I was going to have a roommate, somebody I didn't know. So a lot of people that go to college,
Freshman
you don't
year.
know who your roommate is. You're a freshman. They just team you up with somebody. I don't know how they pick it. It could be random. I don't know how it happens. But what's to say Tyler Robinson did just get it randomly, this Lance Twiggs. And that's just basically how he looked at him as a roommate. He's not necessarily his friend or his lover. He's just the guy that he was set up with to be the roommate. So I don't know how the living arrangement was set up, but I have no reason to think Lance Twiggs is credible, and nor should anybody else. So a lot of people just really want to believe this, and they're ready to, put this guy away and execute him. I mean, in Utah, this would lead to a firing squad death if he's convicted. But like I said, they're going to have a lot of trouble trying to prove beyond a reasonable doubt.
And didn't the
based
judge
off of-
push back the deadline? The deadline went from somewhat relatively soon to see if they can proceed. He kicked it back a long time, didn't he?
I think it might be a few months or something. September. I think Senator Mike Lee. Oh, that was another one I called out too, because he was saying like, "Yeah, this is over," and I was saying, we got a right to proof of innocence. I went after Rob Schneider too. I went after a lot of people over this last several days. I roasted a lot of big names, and none of them had anything to say. I got a lot of likes on some of them too, because people are agreeing with it. They're just seeing through the bullshit, and they're sick of these fake influencers, trying to muddy the waters and taint the jury pool, as it turns out. So no, like this it could not have gone worse, not much worse for the prosecution and Jack Posobiec and Benny Johnson. Absolute disgrace by many of these people. So these turncoats.
How do you really feel though?
Well, I'm passionate about the truth, and I'm mad that I have to get involved with this stuff, Brian. I feel like, I don't know what life that I wanted anymore, but I feel like, just like I got to do their job. Someone's got to tell the truth. Someone's got to stand up in the city council, and nobody else is saying something. So no, I have to say it now. I'm freaking mad, and I want to call these guys out. So yeah, it's like it's supposed to be their job. And anyway, I volunteered to do it. And so, yeah, after 15 years of trying to, volunteer, now I'm in the volunteer state, volunteering, yes, in the citizen journalism, alternative media. Yeah, I suppose I am a little bit angry after all these years. And it's disappointing to see the people that I thought were on our side sold out. So now it's all about loyalty. It's not about principles. And there's a lot of money in that. So
Well, the Kirk case continues. We'll see. I mean, that's pretty much wrapped up, right? We're not getting any new info. That's done.
yeah, the hearing's over. And then the trial, I guess, will start in September. I mean, like I said, if this wasn't such a high profile case, I mean, you would almost think this would be thrown out.
Yeah, that Kirk thing was rough, man. Just gone too soon. A possible presidential candidate from the other side. I mean, you could disagree with the dude, but he was quick, he was sharp, he was smart.
No, he had all the talent in the world to be the president.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't
And he
think
would've been a
he
damn
wanted
good
it
one,
per
yeah.
se, but he can be talked into such things. He said he was having such an impact outside of it.
Yeah, but if he couldn't be controlled, they had to take him out.